There we
And we
go.
are live. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome back, classmates. This is Earth
Yes.
School Journey. We are so happy to see you for another week. We have an exciting topic to dive deep into this week. But first, I want to introduce ourselves. If you don't know, I'm your peer guide, Uni, and this is my lovely co-host and fellow peer guide, Umi Steph.
Hello. How are you doing today, Uni?
I'm doing good. I am just really feeling into this energy. We just had a new moon and a solar eclipse yesterday in Aquarius. And so, my moon is in Aquarius, and so I was
Mhm.
really trying to feel into the energy and like try to see like what it meant, what was I feeling, what have I been feeling, in these days leading up to it. I've been practicing stillness, of course, which is our curriculum for the month. So there's just a lot going on. Even though
Mhm.
I feel the stillness within myself. Like I feel like this core coming in, but I'm just like there's just a lot going on though. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. How about
definitely.
you? How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's been a rough transit for me as well. Um, I don't know. I think just because anytime moon energy is affected, I feel like I get very deeply affected, and new moons tend to drain me. I don't know. It's
Mm.
a lower energy time for me, but overall, I feel outer turmoil but inner peace.
Ooh.
You know, outer turmoil, but definitely like deep in when I sit in the stillness, I can touch that place of peace. So yeah, I don't want to
I
say bad. I
love
don't.
that.
I'm good. I'm good. It's a lot going on, but I'm good.
I love that. I love that. I love that. As again, we've been talking about stillness this month, and to hear you say that after, our conversation last week, sharing, some of your strengths and challenges with stillness, I think that, that is so amazing to hear. So
Mhm.
thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right. So, guys, classmates, friends, family. We want to welcome you again to Earth School Journey, where life is the curriculum and experience is the teacher.
Yes.
This month, again, we are talking about stillness. One of the quotes that that has resonated with us this month is "Be still and know."
Mm.
Be still and know. I've really been sitting with that this month and thinking about like what does that mean to me? Because I don't want to leave out the rest of it. You know what I mean? It's, be still and know that I am God. I don't know the whole verse, I just know that part. But I don't want to leave out even, you know what I mean, that part. And I had to say to myself, in not leaving out that part, be still and know that I am God, but know the God within myself,
Mhm.
the God within myself that is not afraid, that is not rushing, that is not, overwhelmed with turmoil and different things. You know, that's really what I was, getting when I sat with that verse.
Mhm.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know my connection to God, my oneness with God. Be still
Mhm.
and know that no weapons formed against me will prosper. It's like all of these things
Mhm.
are coming up for me, you know? And so I just think it's just such a powerful verse. And before we do a recap of next week, of last week, excuse me, Umi, did you have any thoughts around that verse? Like, what have you been feeling as you've been sitting with it? Has anything come up for you?
Oh, so this I actually have this verse posted around my house a lot. Like I have different cute little signs and stuff that I've found in like home goods because that's a dangerous place to go.
It is.
But anytime I find something that says "be still and know," I feel like I have to pick it up. So I do have it all over the place. Um, it and that I am God part is like so because the I am is I am God. That part, that be still and know that I am God. And it's that inner God that we're coming to know and sitting still. And it's, if, I mean, I actually pulled up the rest of the verse because, I mean, the whole thing is actually be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations and I will be exalted in the earth. And it's like, it's knowing the bigness of God, the allness of God, the all of that, right? And so I have in earnest, like as soon as I won't even say before I even open my eyes in the morning, I have been, just talking to that inner God of like, I want to know you. I want to know you. Show me who you really are. Show me in a way that is undeniable, and I can't say I've had any big, revelations yet, but I trust that it's coming. I trust that it's going to happen, and I'm still working on that stillness. That first thing in the morning stillness has really been helpful for me, you know. Even if it is before I open my eyes.
That's amazing. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I agree. I think that taking a moment before we, you know, open our eyes, before we jump out of bed, before we pick up our phones and start scrolling,
Hmm.
before we, start thinking about all the things we need to do, today, it's just so powerful. It's so powerful, and it really helps to put us in a good space for the day ahead, and take each day as it comes. I think that's really like a key point,
Hmm.
because a lot of times what we'll do is, we're thinking about yesterday, we're thinking about tomorrow, we're there's so much going on, but just taking that moment, I think that is absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to start going to Home Goods and start looking for more Be Still and Know, because I absolutely love that you have it around your home, and it's helping the energy, not only for you, but also for your family,
Hmm.
so that you guys can be still and know. That's a really powerful phrase. And I think that, I was sharing last week about how I feel like our kind of like original state, or like we come from stillness, you
Hmm.
know. I feel like we come from stillness. I feel like that be still and know is like a reminder that's where we come from. You know what I mean? We don't come from chaos.
Right.
We come from peace, we come from stillness, we come from
Hmm.
wholeness. And so just bringing that energy into your home, I think it's super powerful. So thank you for sharing. Like I said, I'm gonna be on the lookout. I need to put some up on my walls so I can be reminded to be still
Yeah.
and know. All right. So last week, again, we talked about, it was our introduction to stillness. We talked about what stillness meant to us. We really went into how we understand that stillness, doesn't necessarily have to be the absence of noise or movement, and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, we understand that you can have a lot of noise and still be still. You can have a lot of movement and still be still. You can be quiet and have stillness. You can, we understand that stillness is something deep within yourself. It's a lack of a compulsion to move, a compulsion to do something before you fully understand what
Hmm.
you're really doing. You know what I mean? We really talked about that last week, and we hope that you all will take the time to go back to the video and watch it. We hope that you get some insights around stillness and, why it's important for you to really lean into stillness. We discussed stillness as a spiritual practice. We each shared about our challenges and strengths when it came to stillness, which was, it was really eye-opening for me to think about, some of the challenges that I've had, as well as some of the growth that I've had. And I think you had a similar experience, Umi, even though you shared some of your challenges. You also were able to acknowledge your strengths as well,
Mhm.
which was really important. We shared some common misconceptions about stillness. Again, people thinking that, oh, if just laying down, is stillness. Not necessarily, not all the time. You know what I mean? There,
Mhm.
there's a lot of different um, misconceptions about stillness, and we also talked about how whether or not when we're like trying to hear, where we're like are we being still when we're like reaching, we're trying to get
Mhm.
a message, we're trying to hear something, like is that really stillness? Like we're really dive deep into that. So again, if you guys can, please, if you have the time, go back and watch that video. I think you'll find some really good insights there. And we want to dive right into this week's topic, or this week's lesson, rather, which is the truth about stillness. And where we left off last week, we wanted to kind of, well, last week where we left off, we wanted to talk about uh, stillness and spiritual bypassing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been talking a lot. Umi, I'm gonna let you uh, start the conversation and share your thoughts and insights on stillness and spiritual bypassing.
Yeah. So thank you. Well, I mean, I intentionally deferred this last week when we were talking because I feel like it's something that's extremely important for us to kind of dive into and think about. And that's because, even last month's conversation about visioning, you can get stuck in that stage of visioning, which usually requires some kind of stillness for you to listen, right? And you can get stuck out of fear and not wanting to move forward and going, "Oh, I still need to hear more. I'm still waiting for I'm still waiting for peace. I'm still waiting for this. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting." And really it's no longer a time for waiting, it's a time for action, right? And so stillness can become avoidance. It can become avoidance, and you can, and I've seen this in other people, like, oh, well, I meditate every day. I meditate every day. I meditate. Okay, great. You meditate every day, but are you doing anything? um, you meditate every day, but you're still angry. You meditate every day, but are you really seeking stillness? Are you really being still? Is the stillness is not supposed to be your only state of being. We have a foot in each world. We're supposed to have time to be still and time to act. You know, that faith without works is dead. If you're not doing something, and we're going to talk a little more about kind of how you can, like the different ways to recognize that. But, you really have to sit with it. Like, am I avoiding something? Is there an emotion I'm avoiding? Is there an emotion that I'm suppressing, that I'm not recognizing, that's not being, pulled up? Because, a lot of times when we're using stillness as a spiritual bypass or to avoid moving forward, we're not always conscious of what is sitting beneath that, you know. And this, I think, has to do with the depth of your stillness. This is This is like when we were saying, like, are you listening? Are you really listening really hard because there's one specific message you're trying to hear? You know, like if you're waiting for God to say go, but he's not saying go, maybe he's saying, I don't want to use he. Maybe God is saying, maybe Spirit's saying, um, I want you to do something different, but you're so busy listening for this message that you're not hearing it. Or you're just not paying it any attention. You hear it. You just because there's something underneath there. There's fear, there's anxiety, there's worry, there's anger. There's something, that is stopping you from moving, from going forward. And an example of this that I can give is the need to forgive someone, and getting stuck in I'm still waiting for peace before I do it. I'm still waiting. I'm still that stillness, like I'm still meditating on this. I don't know how many times I'm still meditating on that. I'm still meditating on that. When really I just need to start doing the dang forgiveness work, you know, which is a step. And no, the first time you forgive somebody, you may not forgive them. The second time, you may not forgive them. You may need to Ho'oponopono for 6 months before you really get that out of your system. You may need to, do the meta prayer for a week or 5 or you know what I mean? Like, and this is just one example. Forgiveness is just one example. There's a lot of things. It could be that new job or leaving that job. It could be starting that business. It could be getting into that relationship, getting out of that relationship. Anything can really be the thing. For me, my example is just this needing to forgive someone and sitting and waiting for peace, when really the peace comes with the action, because you've sat in stillness and you know that you need to do this, and you're waiting on, God, spirit, somebody else, somewhere else outside of yourself to do the forgiving, when really it's the work that you have to do for yourself. And it doesn't, mean you have to go to that person and say I forgive you. It may, but sometimes the forgiveness work is just more internal, so. And that's with anything. Most of what you need to do is internal. If you're building a new habit, if you're doing a new thing, if you're taking a new step. And so I think this is like a really good topic for us to really talk about. And this is just scratching the surface. And we're gonna go deeper, but I'm gonna toss it back to you. What do you have to say about spiritual bypass? I know you did kind of mention, like, sometimes feeling like you get stuck in that wanting to be still and not moving and not doing.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me. For me, I can honestly say that it's what you touched on. It's a deep fear, you know. Um, it's a fear of rejection, you
Mhm.
know,
Mm,
a fear of abandonment, a fear of um just really those two, like primarily if I had to choose, I feel like there's been so many times where I have, shown up in wholeness, um, in earnest, and just really in a really good space, with good thoughts and good intentions and good actions as well.
mhm,
And when it has been met with, ridicule, when it has been met with, just like disinterest or thrown to the side or things like that, I have gotten very discouraged. And it came from a very young age. You know what I mean? It definitely started at a young age where, and sometimes just speaking my truth as well, where I would get punished or reprimanded for being honest, and so I felt like it's just best for me not to say anything. you know it's just best for me not to do anything. Let me just be here, and I've gotten in like this kind of like freeze or frozen kind of state where it's just like it's just best for me just to be as still as possible, but I'm not really showing up in I'm
Mm.
stifled. I
Yeah.
feel stifled. I feel like I can't open up. I can't be my full self because my full self isn't accepted. And what I've learned, and I thank God, that I've gotten to be the age that I am, because if I would have, you know, if I didn't get to have this wisdom, like I don't know how to say, but if I didn't get to have this wisdom, I feel like it would have been, I don't know, just like a waste. You know what I mean? Like I feel like everything that I've learned over the years, I pray that I can help the next person. You know what I mean? To understand that if you cannot show up in wholeness, you are probably in the wrong place. You're
Hmm.
probably around the wrong people.
Right.
Probably. Just something to think about. And I know for me it's so deep where I it's kind of like even like my own, like I have these big goals, big dreams, big ambitions, things I want to do so bad. But there's this deep fear within me that, again, no one's going to show up, no one's going to receive me, no one's going to care. No, like, there's a deep fear that I've been working through for a very long time, and I'm so grateful to be in circles with sisters such as yourself, Umi, where, I feel kind of comforted, and I feel like little me feels like I have a friend, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
To say it's okay, like it's okay to show up, it's okay to be yourself, it's okay to share your ideas, it's okay, you know, because for so long I did not feel that, and so yeah, it's this relationship with stillness, like this month, has it's really been so eye-opening for me, because while I understand that I have the ability to be still, I have the ability to rest, and again, like I've shared previously as well, I've learned the benefits of stillness, where I'm able to like actually hear and just kind of like really know what's going on around me versus being swept up in a tornado or being swept up in a storm or hurricane or whatever. you know
Hmm.
that's what happens a lot of times when you're around certain energies, like you're just so swept up that you don't realize what's going on. You're not able to really take time for stillness because there's so much chaos. But again, like I this month I've been able to really sit with myself and have that, compassion with the kind of like the I want to say I think the word I used before was just like it's like this codependency, or like a toxic codependency with stillness. Like, oh, I feel safer just not moving. Like,
Hmm.
I just feel safer
Hmm.
just you know what I mean? I just feel safe like this, not doing too much, not saying too much, not being too much. I feel safer. But what I realized is when I got in healthy environment. Now that was the thing. I felt safer that way in a unhealthy environment. When I got into a healthy environment, hey, listen, I can,
Hmm.
I feel I can open up. When I speak, people hear me. They're not trying to shut me down. They're not calling me a liar when I'm being honest. They're not like all these things. Like I can move, I can breathe. I can be free. I don't have to be still, you know? So there's like so many different layers to this, and I love that we're really diving into it. And I hope that us sharing our experiences is helping our classmates. And forgive me if if I'm not even like articulating it, because it's so deep. Like it's kind of hard to explain. And I feel like this month, as because we're doing the work in real time with you all, like this is our curriculum for the month, these are our lessons for the month, right? We're doing this work in real time. So maybe 6 months from now I'll be able to come back and share, even better. But it's like right now I'm like really still going through this, and I hope you all can appreciate that. And, we'd love for you all to share in the comments, what is your relationship with stillness? Are you able to be still? Do you feel like you are forced to be still out of fear, out of your circumstances, or whatever the case may be? Um, I think that's just like one aspect of it, one dimension of it.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's it's just been so it's been so amazing for me this month to do this work and this relationship with stillness. I feel like I feel better about it, that I'm able to just see it from so many different perspectives, and not necessarily just staying stuck on the kind of like the what's the word that I want to use, like the like politically kind of like correct, like
Yeah.
way. Like there's so many different ways for us to look at this.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that you said that really kind of rang a bell for me was when you said you it's like you're in freeze mode, right? And it brought up to me fight, flight, or freeze,
Hmm.
right? If you're I'll use the I. If I'm using my stillness to fight something, fight off a bad emotion, fight off a bad feeling, something like that, then it's probably spiritual bypass. If I'm
Exactly.
using stillness to for flight, you know, I I can remember a time, particularly during the pandemic, where anytime something happened that I didn't want to deal with, I'm gonna go meditate. I'm gonna go meditate. And yes, that can be a good thing. But if you're not actually dealing with the thing at some point, then you're using it for flight, right? I was using it for flight. And then there's that freeze mode where you're sitting in stillness and just unable to like move forward, right? Just unable to move forward. It's like doom scrolling, but you're on your meditation pillow.
Right.
So I just want to thank you for that, because it just put it in a perspective for me. All of a sudden, like I was like, oh yes, fight, flight, or freeze. That's spiritual bypassing. You are using it as a coping mechanism, as in place of like your sympathetic nervous system, where you're trying to get out of, you know, danger. And
Right.
that's not really that's not really stillness per se. That's avoidance. That's fight, flight, and freeze. That's not what we want to be doing in stillness or using the stillness for. It's to touch that deeper place, not just to avoid dealing with the problems.
Right. Right. A question came up. It said, um is stillness opening me to truth, or is it protecting me from the truth?
Yes.
And that was one of my it's funny because that was literally my affirmation this month, that stillness leaves more room for truth, or something along those lines. I thought I had the paper here, but oh, stillness brings me closer to truth,
Mm.
you know
Mhm.
but not again if I'm avoiding, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
not if
Right.
I'm avoiding. So, um, so a couple more things we wanted to share about bypassing. Again, if you're avoiding difficult conversations, you are spiritually bypassing, using stillness as a spiritual bypass. Again, if you are not moving, like Umi said, when you need to take action, and if you are suppressing emotions, if you instead of allowing them to come up, um, allowing our emotions to come up is so important. Like I'm telling you, I just think about little me and how I was so stifled in so many different ways. You're too loud, you're too quiet, you're too this, you're too that, you're too, oh, just couldn't win one way or the other. And it
Mhm.
created a lot of confusion within myself. And so that's another reason why I leaned into like that freeze kind of mode. Because it was like, oh, no matter what I do, I can't talk, I can't be quiet, I can't, like, it's always something. But once I started to allow my emotions to flow, it really helped me to lean in and observe and acknowledge, and it helped me to know when I needed to move, when it was time to move on. You know, like I mean, I was stuck in like toxic situations for years, but there was just a point where I was like, okay, something's got to give. Like I can't keep doing this. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
And I had to get still, but allow my emotions to flow. You know what I mean? I had to get in touch with myself in order for me to know that it was time for me to move on.
Right. Right.
And it just went just like that. And so we we just want you all to understand like the different ways again that stillness can show up in your life, and we also wanted to dive into how you can know when stillness is actually working. And I'll say that first, like I just said, you have increased clarity, greater emotional honesty. You're less reactive. That was one of the things that I noticed for myself too. It was like, oh, I'm able to respond instead of react. Like, this person in front of me is like going batshit crazy,
Mhm.
but I'm not going with them. You know what I mean? Like, okay, And so, and I was just more compassionate with myself, to be honest with you. Like, I think stillness helps lead to more self-compassion. And for a lot of us, we are kind of like groomed to not have compassion for ourselves, just suck it up and take it and deal with it and all of that, those sorts of things. But having more compassion with myself was definitely a byproduct of leaning into stillness. What about you, Umi? Have you had any signs of stillness working in your life? Like, are there, any real life examples you can share?
Oh, definitely the less reactive. That's the main one for me. Is because
Mm,
I'm very reactionary. I'm gonna be really honest with everybody. Like I am. I'm very. I can. I do it, and then I catch myself, and I do it, and then I catch myself, and I want to get to the point where I catch myself before I do it.
mm,
And when I'm spending more time in stillness, in true stillness, not in stillness where I'm trying to chase thoughts away or chase emotions away or like true stillness, I where I'm really observing, because I feel like that observing and acknowledging is really important to, you know, being able to be less reactive, where I'm like, when I'm sitting in stillness and I'm like, there's some sadness there. And I'm not trying to hunt down where it's coming from or why it's there, but I'm just letting it be there. Um, or anger is a big one. Like, I'm just angry. What am I angry about? Well, I can probably name 100 things, but I'm not going to. I'm going to sit with this anger, and and just starting to practice that more and learning to be okay with that and to sit with that. And I did mention this last week, and probably the when we did homeroom check-in, that I have had an issue with sitting with emotions. And so I think as I go further into that, I will become even less reactive. You know, it's still a up and down battle with me right now. Is the reactivity. So that's a really big one for me. I think also just kind of understanding when to move. I think, and when not to. When I'm sitting in stillness, like knowing, okay, I need to take action. No, I don't need to take action. Lately, I think I've mentioned that we're like trying to get a house on our property, and I have felt like I'm stuck in this like waiting area. Like I'm just, and I want to move so bad. Like I just so want to do something.
I felt that.
Oh, I just wanted to. And then the lady went on vacation, so we can't even do anything because the person who's handling is just. And I'm like, I was sitting in my meditation. I'm sitting there, and I very clearly was able to hear, like, do you not trust my timing? Do you not trust it? Do you think that I would let this go wrong? Because if I would let it go wrong, is it for you? Like, and it was just like a, but I also still had to sit with the emotion there. It doesn't make the emotion less valid. That feeling of like, oh, I'm so frustrated that we're not, nothing's happening. And that's where, I think I'm learning to be more compassionate, more honest. Yes, I am feeling anxious and frustrated with this whole process. I just want it to happen already, you know, considering it's been a 4-year delay at this point trying to do this. It's like, come on already. Let's get this going. Um, so yeah, I think those have been some of the signs and some of the benefits I've kind of seen of having more time in the stillness these last few weeks. Um, and really, I feel my desire to sit in stillness growing, which is another thing. Yeah.
That is beautiful. That's beautiful. Because we have this again, like I said earlier, like we have this compulsion to move.
Mm-hmm.
There's like this compulsion to like always do something, even if it's like we're sitting still to pick up our phones and you know what I mean, or to watch TV or whatever the case may be. There's this inner compulsion that I feel like a lot of us have,
Mm-hmm.
but what I've learned from social media is that over in like other countries, like especially in like in Asian countries, they teach children stillness at a young age. Like they have them meditating in like kindergarten or throughout grammar school, which kind of it's kind of like the opposite for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just think about, back in kindergarten, yes, we had to sit still while we were like getting instruction, you know. Okay, maybe we got a nap in preschool or maybe kindergarten or first grade. Um, we got some time to play outside, you know. I remember learning line dancing in gym. Like there was a lot of movement,
Right.
because they felt like after you sat for so long, you needed to move, you needed to burn off steam, you needed to release. But what if we needed the opposite for a little while? What if we needed no instruction, no writing, no movement, no, like, what if we just really needed
Right.
some time to be still?
Hmm. I feel like there'd be a whole lot less ADHD in the world had we all been given that kind of instruction, that kind of, teaching. I very early on, preschool, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, primary grades. Like once you hit middle school, the noise is there and it doesn't
Ain't no
stop.
stopping it. Exactly. Ain't no stopping it.
But
I
imagine.
feel like I feel like that's a building block that is, and it's still missed in our education system to this day.
Hmm.
It's a building block because while you're learning or reading or writing, while you're, again, going to gym, playing outside, whatever it is, dosey doing, whatever it is that you're doing, you are not giving yourself time to just feel, to just be. You're not teaching that. And then we wonder why other countries are, so far ahead in so many other things, and why we have people coming over here that and basically running so many industries.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, why we have so much chaos around us, why there's so much ADHD going on, why, it, I mean, listen, one of the things I wanted to share that stillness, it made me more sensitive. It did.
Mm-hmm.
It made me more sensitive. Like, and I used to think that sensitivity was a flaw, you know. I used to think it was a flaw, you know. But I'm telling you, like I shared, was it in last week or homeroom check-in? Like, I found myself just crying at the I don't want to say oddest moments, but just really more moments touch me. I want to say that, let me phrase it that way. More moments touch me. There's
Mm-hmm.
so much beauty in the world that I feel I was just kind of like blind to, and just the sunrise sometimes. It just touches me. I could almost cry at how beautiful
Mm-hmm.
it is. I know some people are sunset people and they're like, the myriad of colors that and at the sunset is different. And I've definitely seen some beautiful sunsets, but I'm more of a sunrise person and it just touches me. And getting up in the morning and driving to my local park and watching the
Yeah.
sunrise and being still, it just I'm telling you, there's a level of sensitivity that I have gained from stillness that is it's really beautiful because I see how powerful it is. Like you said, I know when to move. I know when to be still. I know when to speak. I know when to be quiet. I know when to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've always I've always respected time. Like even as a construct, there's people who are like time is fake and all of this, and okay, maybe it is. They had to do something to help us get some structure out here, because if not, people would have been all. So I get it. Like, okay, time is a construct to help us, be constructive and all of that stuff. But I feel like when I learned to like practice more stillness, I was more on time for more things. Like I'm telling you, I'll go to the store and I'll be like, okay, I got enough things. Like I don't have a list or anything. I'm just getting what I need or whatever. whatever. And I get online and there's no one online. I'm like next or whatever. I look behind me, there's like 10 people behind me. I picked the right time to get online so I didn't have to wait. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like I
Yep.
find myself in situations like that a lot where I'll turn around and be like, oh wow, where'd that line come from? Thank goodness I got online when I did, or
Right.
else I would have been standing there,
Hmm.
and if I was, it would have been okay. You know what I mean? But I appreciate that, just that instinct to know, like, okay, it's time for me to go.
Hmm.
And like it's a clear line for me to just go. It's time for me to go.
Right.
You know, Practicing stillness has really helped me to tap into being more in alignment with time, just in general.
Hmm.
I could leave my house late and then still arrive somewhere on time. It's just so amazing how aligned with time stillness has made me. So I
Hmm.
really wanted to share that. There's like a sensitivity there that I have, and with a lot of different things, and again, time is just one of them.
Yeah. Um, what just came to me is whatever it is that you need, stillness is going to give it to you.
Ah, I love that.
No, whatever it is that you need, stillness is going to give it to you. A lot of times, the stillness is telling you to move. It is, and you're not listening to it, so you're not doing it. But what made me think of that is because you just said that stillness made you more sensitive. Now, all my life, I've been told that I'm too sensitive, and stillness has really helped me with that hypersensitivity, with being overstimulated, with not being able to handle, when someone comes in the room with all this big emotion. As an empath, I immediately, my whole body responds. And sitting in stillness, it taught me to radiate peace. It taught me to shield. It taught, you know what I mean? Like that, to that I'm in my own energy field and I don't have to allow people to penetrate it. So it allowed me, yeah, I can open up and be sensitive as needed. If I need to tap in with someone, if I need to feel what they're feeling to understand better. But if it's just someone out there being an emotional terrorist, I can shut them out. You know what I mean? And the more stillness that I practice, the better that I get at it. And I've found that a lot of that clutter, that emotional clutter that's in there, stillness allows me to sort through it, sift through it, get rid of it, you know. And so whatever it is that you need, the stillness is going to give it to you, you know. For you, probably needed to be just a little more aware, a little more sensitive to these things. And for me, I needed the awareness that it was happening, because I used to be so controlled by other people's emotions. And I'm not going to say I'm completely over that. I definitely have a lot more work to do with this, because I can still be blindsided by someone's energy. They don't have to say a word. A person can walk into a room with, an attitude, and then suddenly I have an attitude and I go, I wasn't feeling that way a minute ago. But had I not been practicing stillness all of these years, I wouldn't have that awareness. And I feel that the more I practice stillness, the faster I get at realizing, oh, someone else has come in and affected my mood. And so then I can close that gap. I can, not allow them to penetrate me, to push out peace, to push out joy, to push out, my own auric field, so that they aren't affecting me. And so that is something that I really learned through meditation, through stillness, through taking a moment to, envision that light around me protecting me. All things that have happened in stillness, that couldn't have happened in any other way except in the stillness. you know?
Absolutely. I love that you share that. That's such a key point that it's going to give you what you need. We all have a different need. And it's so important for us to realize that. And that's why I love that we have these conversations and we're
Mhm,
able to share like our different perspectives, and someone else may have a different need out there as well. Our classmates, we all have similar lessons, but it may be a little bit there. That's why life is so powerful. It's gonna give you what you need, and that's why stillness is so powerful. It's going to give you what you need. Like you said, it is I don't know. I feel like we're almost taught that it's like weak to be still, but
mhm,
it's like a superpower. It's a superpower. You are not easily manipulated. You're not easily taken over. You're not easily offended. You're not easily, all these things that we've been saying in different ways. Like that core, that's another thing too. I wanted to mention that I had to kind of like, figure out kind of like where stillness like kind of like rested, like kind of like within me. Like I feel like there was a space within me where it rests,
mhm.
where I find that like there's this core space. And I remember being younger, and one day I was drinking. I was just guzzling some wine. Like it wasn't nobody's. You're supposed to drink wine out of glass with a, you know what I mean? I had a big old cup, and I just felt like this, like the wine was going into this emptiness in me. Like it's like God was like showing me something, you know. Maybe I tapped into like a moment of stillness that I wasn't even aware of by, just drinking that. I was just like, wow, okay. Like I put the cup down. I remember it like it was yesterday. I put the cup down. I was like, wow, there's this emptiness in there, and the alcohol is literally going in there and filling it up. Like I'm using this as an escape. And I think that was when I started to definitely, like, my relationship with alcohol, drinking wine, it just started to change from then on. And what I've noticed since I've started practicing stillness is that core space within me. Now, it may be a different space for different people. Like for some people, it's in your gut, your sacral. For some people, it's in your solar. Some people, it's your heart. Some people, it may rest in your throat. Like it may rest in different places for different people. Maybe in the back of your calves. Listen, I'm not judging, okay? Okay, but since I've been practicing stillness, I have been feeling like this sense of wholeness within myself. There's less emptiness there. It's like you said, stillness it's filling me up with, the things that I need versus the things that I was escaping or using, you know what I mean? And so that's something that I really wanted to bring up. Like, I think that a lot of times people don't realize, like, is there a sense of emptiness, a sense of lack, a sense of something? Like, when you sit in stillness, is like, where is your core? Where is your resting place? How does it feel? Does it feel whole? Does it feel halfway? Like, they talk about your cup being half full or half empty. Like, how do you feel for real? That's something that stillness really taught me, and I was reminded of that this month. Sitting in stillness, I've just been feeling this sense of whole. Like I feel like it's getting stronger and stronger. Like there's this wholeness within myself, and I feel like it's the the stillness within me is like radiating out. You know what I mean? Instead of, like you said, like chaos and other people's things, like, taking over. Instead, that stillness is radiating out. So yeah, I wanted to share that. We are winding down here. I wanted to talk about the I guess we'll talk about it next week, but I did want to touch on how stillness can feel uncomfortable at first. And, when we go into study hall next week, we're gonna, explain, a little bit deeper why it feels uncomfortable, why there's like this sense of, again, that compulsion, that reactivity, like you always have to be doing something. And we're going to be giving you guys some tips and some strategies, some tools, some things that you can do to really help you sit in stillness. Now, it's going to be uncomfortable at first.
It just
It's going to
is.
be, it just is. It may be your mind. You may want to speak. You may want to move. Your hands, your legs may want to run. Like, we all, again, it may show up in different areas of our bodies where we just want to move. Some people it's your hips. You want to, what I mean? You just can't sit still. It shows up in different ways for different reasons for each of us. But we're going to be sharing some strategies to help you practice stillness, to help you lean into stillness, things that have helped us. I know for me, a lot of it has been aromatherapy. I am so big on essential oils. I'll be sharing some essential oils that help me lean into stillness. We'll have some crystals like we did last month. Um, some books. We have a lot of good things that we'll be able to share, and also we really want to, I think, lean into again the uncomfortability of it all and why you gotta get through like that hard part to like see,
Mhm.
like for me it was like I said before, it was like really like forced on me in quarantine. Like I didn't have no other choice. We couldn't go nowhere. We couldn't do much.
Mhm.
And so it was kind of forced on me, and I leaned into it because I wasn't trying to be around people. Like I know people were still like gathering and stuff, but I wasn't trying to like catch COVID or anything like that. So I spent a good amount of time like either like by myself or just on the phone. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so stillness was kind of forced on me. And so I was able to really lean in. And then also I was doing a lot of spiritual work at that time. And of course, having more time, I was able to lean more into my spiritual work as well. So it was like the perfect storm for me to like understand the benefits of stillness. And so I have, I've been doing some research on like that compulsion and how you can, like break it down into smaller chunks and smaller pieces and just different things that you can do to help you be still. And we'll be going into that next week. All right, we're gonna get ready to wrap up. Umi, you have any final words, any last things you want to share?
I just want to say thank you all for joining us. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you hanging out and studying with us, all of our classmates. It's really been such a journey to go through this with you all, and we just appreciate you. And I guess we'll see you next week. Uni?
Yes, I agree. Thank you all so much. We appreciate you all, just going through these lessons. Listen, we are learning in real time. We are really going through this in real time. And again, I think it's so special because it doesn't put us above or below anyone. It's, again, why
Mhm.
we call ourselves and we refer to ourselves as peer guides. We are walking this walk with you hand in hand. And we love and appreciate you all so much for being on this journey with us. You know, it's been really special healing out loud with you all. You
Mm,
know,
mhm,
we've done so much work in the background, but I feel like you know, there was a point where Spirit was just like, it's time, you know, it's time to share. There's more people that need to hear some of these lessons and go through this work. And so we're so grateful for you all. And we want to just remind you that this is Earth School Journey, where life is the classroom and love is the lesson. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
peace.